This week is Parshas Noach. It's the second Parsha of the Chumash, and it deals with the world as we see it today, the world after the flood. You can think of it as the world after the Ice Age. It is 10 generations from Noach, or from Adam, the first man, until Noach. And during that time, the world basically degenerates into barbarism. There are individuals who remain righteous, and among those that remain righteous are the line of Noach. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so to speak, decides to start all over again with humanity. The Chumash gives as the fundamental reason that the world is being destroyed, or is v'tishaches haaretz. The world has become ruined or corrupt. Corrupt is the popular translation for tishaches. Lifnei ha'elokim, before God, v'timalei ha'aretz chamas, and the world is filled with chamas. It's a word that has various usages. The purest understanding it is injustice. It's often understood to mean forms of robbery. The concept of lifnei ha'elokim implies that there's a religious awareness, that people know that they are violating a specific religious precept, as well as the concept of religious guilt. They know that they did wrong. So it's those three components that we have for the destruction of the world. When we're talking about tishaches, corruption, Rashi and most other commentaries learn it as sexual perversion and avodah zarah, idolatry. What you're talking about with idolatry, Hebrew, the word in the Lashon HaKodesh, the holy language, literally means strange worship in this concept. It takes two forms. One is a person can be truly praying to God, but he does it in such a bizarre way that it's strange. The other one is ascribing sanctity to something that really is not sacred. The only thing that is inherently sacred is God, the creator of the world. And what he will do is imbue other things with sanctity, specifically the 5 books of Moses. And anybody who attaches themselves to this sanctity gets an aspect of holiness in and of within them. However, to say that something is independently sacred becomes an act of avodah zarah. Money today would be a form of avodah zarah. Vanity are common ones today. Money can be sacred, and pride can be sacred. But again, it must be the result of them being attached to something that is attached to the Creator. So it comes out that avodah zarah is a form of denial and distortion of religion. When you're talking about the idea of crossbreeding, crossbreeding is forbidden under Jewish law. It's ways of getting around it. The idea of breeding a horse with a donkey to produce a mule is considered undesirable. Non-Jews are permitted to do it. Jews are not, but a Jew can use a mule that was crossbred by someone else. But the basic idea with crossbreeding is that it creates freaks. The animals or the plants that come out of it are also weird. The basic idea is that a person has created a twisted world that is not like the world that God created. So when you're talking about corruption within this context, we're talking about a perversion of the world and a perversion of faith. The idea of Hamas, as I said, it usually involves some sort of robbery, but the idea is that basically the person can get away with it. The example given in the commentaries is stealing something that's a very small quantity that you really could not recover that article through a legal proceeding. Say stealing someone's pen, a storekeeper who doesn't give someone their change, small amount, but you can get away with it. That's the idea of Hamas. Another one given is the idea of Oshake, giving someone a runaround. The idea is that you got your hands on their money and you're obligated in a service or you're obligated to give it back. So you just tell them to go away and come back tomorrow until they get the message you're not giving it back, and then they just leave you alone. In other words, it's a case of the person gets away with it, and it's not done stealthily, it's done openly. You see the person doing it. It's different than Geneva, where the aspect of a thief is that he comes into a person's house at night when nobody's around and you can't see him. That's different from robbery, where the robber, you see his face. You know who he did it. He's operating openly. But its broader idea is the idea of injustice. When you have the story in Lech Lecha with Hagar and Sarah, where Sarah is barren, and she says to Avram, look, so that we'll at least have a large household, take my servant Hagar as a concubine to have children with her. Hagar promptly becomes pregnant, and then Sarah becomes light in her eyes. Hagar starts seeing herself as the primary wife of Abraham, and with good reason. She's going to have a child. Sarah has not. But she really isn't of the stature of Sarah to be Abraham's primary wife. Sarah complains to Abraham bitterly and says, Chamasei alecha. She says, my injustice is your fault. The idea that Hagar really shouldn't be acting this way, but she nevertheless has the ability to do so, is what makes it injustice. In that the idea is that Avram really has to talk to Hagar and tell her, no, you're important to me, but Sarah is still my wife, my primary wife. She is the mistress of the house. She's still your mistress. That's the idea of Hamas. What happens, though, is that Noah is chosen to be the survivor and the progenitor of a new world. And it gives the reasons. It says concerning Noah that he was a tzaddik, a righteous individual, tamim, that he was honest, and that he walked with Hashem, hitalech, Hashem, ha'elokim hitalech Noah. So he carried himself with God. He was, was a person who basically believed and lived according to his beliefs. This tends to be the defense against against corruption and injustice. That if a person is righteous and they're honest, and they basically believe, they are not going to accept the slick rationalizations that what they're doing nobody cares about. So who cares if you have this freaky animal, or you act weird when you go to daven, or that because you're beyond the reach of the law of human judges, you're also beyond beyond the reach of judges in heaven. Someone who has depth and perception that God is running the world, okay, will not degenerate into corruption and injustice. Quite the contrary, they will continue to be honest, and they will make right decisions based on principle and morality, and in the end, they will escape to a new and better world where in fact they will be the example and they will be the model.